of Comm Collective, our wonderful panel for this week, coming at ya. So we're really excited to talk about something very influential, dare I say it, influencing media. And first and foremost, I just want to say hi to our panelists. We have Michelle Smith-Boyd, Courtney Pizarnik, and Jamie Derringer. And we'll let them all introduce themselves here. But first and foremost, just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Clara Hannaberg, and I am the Director of Partnerships at Embello. And we are a marketing agency that works with influencers to align them with our clients, who are brands. And we create this synergy that lets them promote and work with influencers to work with their products. So I now want to throw it to Michelle.
Me?
To introduce yourself to everyone about Smith-Boyd Interiors and a little brief introduction about yourself.
I am Michelle Smith-Boyd. I'm an interior designer in Atlanta. I've had this firm for about 12 years, Smith-Boyd Interiors. Not difficult to figure out where I got that name from. And we specialize in residential, and I am moving more and more into product design and development, which I'm really excited about. Some bespoke collections, some licensing deals, television, all kind of cool stuff, just to really add value to the community that's given me back so much.
Wonderful. And I know it's been a minute since we've seen each other, last October in High Point Market. Can you believe it? But excited to see you again. Next up, Jamie Derringer, founder of Design Milk, and we will have her introduce herself, but so excited to see you, Jamie.
Yes, thanks for having me. I mean, you already said I'm from Design Milk, so I don't know what else there is to say, but Design Milk is an online magazine that started about 14 years ago. In fact, we're coming up on our 14th anniversary. And we now also have e-commerce, so it's pretty exciting. It's been a very busy year over here at Design Milk, so I'm really happy to be here.
Well, thank you, Jamie. And last but not least, Courtney. Courtney is the founder of Ink PR Group and also co-founder of Collective Comm, so which brought us here today. Courtney, tell us a little bit more.
Hi, well, as Clara said, I'm Courtney Pizarnik. I am the founder of Ink PR Group. We do PR and marketing in the interior design and architecture and home space, representing people and brands. And I'm also a co-founder of Comm Collective, which is a group of amazing PR people. There are 7 of us, and we've begun creating content in the industry and working with the media to help us all during these quarantine times. And as we're growing out of quarantine, hopefully, we continue to produce. And thank you everyone for joining us. You guys are all, I'm respected as people in the industry, but also friends. So I'm really happy to have this group together.
Yes, all of us are great friends and so excited to all gather, and wanted to also mention, Jamie, we're very excited as Embello to have recently announced our partnership, which brings to life our influencer campaigns to the design.
Very excited.
So
totally excited about that.
Another way that the industry is working together and kind of getting that storytelling out there during a time where everyone's really looking for inspiration and in a new way. So kind of wanting to delve into the reason why we're all here gathered today, influencers influencing media. And so to get us started, kind of wanted to kind of talk a bit about what we're all seeing and how, you know, in our current situations, we're all adjusting and getting inspired, like I said, and looking and scrolling to get ideas and, you know, see products in ways and forms, and how influencers, which that's a broad term, you know, really all 3 of you are major influencers, as well as I'm sure most of our live audience we have along with us, really just, you know, having a loyal audience, listening to you and caring about your opinions and your choices. So kind of how that evolution has really grown, especially in the last couple of years, and then kind of in the last 4 or 5 months as well, just kind of taking that an extra level. And even with Instagram's new shop feature that's getting, you know, implemented slowly across the board, how that will continue to develop and become more profitable for influencers to become a part of. So kind of delving into it, I wanted to kind of ask Michelle first, how has the evolution of media, especially over the past couple of years, strengthened influencers' positions to create content and get published?
I'll be honest with you. I looked at that question earlier and I thought about it. I mean, now more than ever, the fact is that we are really in control of our own narrative. You know, we can go directly to our audiences. I love print magazines. You know, we all do. We all come from that world and tore out pages and dog-eared pages for years, and I still have stacks. So I just looked at one from 2019. I'm sorry, 2009, that is. But right now, you know, our Instagram feeds are actually our magazines, all about us and our lives. And we're selling our aesthetics, our point of views, the things that inspire us, and even a little bit about personal all the time to just give potential clients, followers, brands, just insights into who we are. And being in control of that is actually really cool. I don't want print to go anywhere. I'm not saying that, but this is a really cool and powerful tool that we have. You know, over the last few years, it's really kind of developed in a way that it's incredible. Even personally, I'm amazed because I begrudgingly joined Instagram. I didn't even want to be a part of social media. I thought, no, that's not for me. I'm delivering to a different audience. My guys aren't there, but I was wrong.
They're there. We're all there, aren't we? Courtney, any insight you care to share maybe on, you know, how you're approaching pitching, you know, to media outlets or how that's evolved?
Sort of what Michelle said, we, especially during the last few months, there have been a lot of challenges with pitching, obviously with the social injustice and obviously the COVID situation. It's been very tricky for us as far as what we're sharing with the media. We have to be very respectful and conscious of what we're sharing and make sure that it is appropriate and it's also in line with the news cycle. As far as social media has really become with our clients part of the bread and butter of a lot of our campaigns, which that did not always used to be the case. We actually manage quite a bit of the social media for our clients now. And we find that it really is sort of their ROI. I mean, obviously exposure in print and digital publications is incredible and people have always appreciated that, and that is a goal of ours. Social media really ties into that. We feel that the media coverage that we generate really helps to pump those feeds for our clients and boost their presence and really start spreading the word about what they're doing. So it's a huge part of what we do.
Great. And Jamie, anything you care to add perhaps on how you vet or, you know, make your decision making?
Oh, well, I mean, we're in the same boat too with the coronavirus situation, social injustice, all kinds of things going on. So, you know, for someone who runs or works on a media publication, we also have to have that, you know, sensitivity to what's going on and make sure that our content is in line with that. And we have to be really agile and flexible to just like turn on a dime to focus on something else completely and change our editorial calendar right away. And I think we've done a pretty good job of doing that. The one thing that's been a challenge for us too is like the advertising has kind of dried up a little bit over the past couple of months. So we've had to get creative and figure out new ways of doing things. And also, you know, we've been able to tell a lot more editorial stories, which has been really great. So I think as far as like a digital publication is concerned, we have like so many things that, I don't know if you were going to ask me a question later about this, but like we have a lot of criteria that we use to determine, you know, what we will accept for the publication, and also how we like weed through the submissions and see, hone in on like what we really want to publish that week or that day, or, you know, in the near future. So I don't know if you wanted me to go into that now, or
I'll have you kind of delve further into that a little bit.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to hear that.
Oh, I have the notes.
When I read that question, I was like, yes, I want to know that insight.
Need the answers. Give us the juice. All right. So stick around. Jamie will add kind of more to that here shortly. Kind of spinning into our next question, you know, being that these influencer opportunities do take a bunch of time, oftentimes even more so than a project, given, you know, the deliverables, several projects in some cases for a designer. So as an influencer, Michelle, how do you decide when to create that content and what like, how do you maintain what's true to your brand while you're taking on those additional assignments?
I'm going to be incredibly transparent. When I read that question, I thought, damn, I'm still figuring that one out. You know, it's a case by case basis. You know that. You know, the way I approach each of them is honestly how much closer is this thing? Is this opportunity? Because they're all opportunities, right? And everybody loves to be asked, and you hate to say no to anything, but you can't say yes to everything. But how close is this thing that I'm considering getting me to that goal for the year, or this next plateau that I'm trying to reach in my business, or as a designer, or as an influencer, even, you know, a product designer, whatever the goals are. I don't know. I really think my relationships are so incredibly important in this industry. And, you know, just being on the panel with you guys, I love all of you. I respect all of you. So, I mean, this is something I couldn't say no to. Why, you know, this makes sense. I'm gonna share a little bit of knowledge. I'm going to learn some things. I'm gonna get Jamie's criteria. I'm gonna get to see you. I haven't seen you since October. Hey, Courtney, it's like, you know, it's like a reunion. It's always so many pluses, and I'm just weighing it against the schedule that I have, the deadlines that I have to meet, and if I can be effective. You know, we all want to show up to everything, but I want to choose a very curated number of things and do it really well. If I can't do it well, if I can't kill it, then I probably will, you know, allow somebody else to get the opportunity.
That's great. Definitely think that Courtney and Jamie have something to add to that as well. Perhaps, you know, how you guys give advice, and I'm sure, you know, you have people coming to you for, you know, how can I get, you know, a brand alignment going, or who do you think would be a good fit? You know, if a brand comes to you, Jamie, looking for someone, perhaps, what kind of tips and suggestions do you share with them?
Are you asking me, can you summarize that question again?
Yeah. So when you evaluate influencer content, or if you have a brand or a publication like yourself considering, you know, that kind of content, what do you take into consideration when, you know, moving?
Are you talking about more like partnerships or collaborations?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Because that's different than submissions. So I think the number one thing that we look for when we partner with someone is, I mean, aside from aesthetics, which is really important to us because we are a modern design magazine. So we, you know, a traditional dining room might not be a good fit for us, or someone who is a traditional designer might not be a good fit for our audience, and would be very confusing to them, I think, if they saw that on our site. But we also really take into consideration the mission of the brands or the you know, influencer. We want to know what is their company culture like, what is you know, what's their audience like, what are they do. If it's a brand who makes products, it's like, okay, well, what are you manufacturing? How are you doing it? Is it sustainable? Is it in line with Design Milk's values? You know, so there's a lot of things we think about. We definitely, I would say, like, we really don't even look at numbers. Like, we don't care to partner with someone who has 1 million followers or like 1,000 followers. It's much more about who they are in terms of like what they do, how good is the work, and what are their goals, are, you know, how are they giving back? All of those things are really important to us when we look at that.
And Courtney, anything to add when you're talking with your clients about these kinds of opportunities?
Well, we're kind of similar. We do a lot of advising of clients and actually a lot of outreach on that front. One thing that I learned a few years ago, but just making so many friends and knowing the industry so well, is that just, it doesn't hurt to ask. So, you know, if you have the ultimate dream or the ultimate collaboration or the person that you really want, just reach out and ask. I mean, it's amazing. Either people will say yes or they'll decline politely, but I feel that that's what we always say with clients, like, let's create the wish list. So whether it's, you know, a licensing opportunity, whether it's media, whatever it is, let's actually construct what it is we have and reach out and ask the people and get feedback and really change the messaging as you go, as you learn and understand what you're doing. So
Great.
I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Definitely. No, thank you. And so in our home and design industry, we've been seeing, you know, Instagram and other social platforms being really utilized as a way of celebrating and sharing your work, or getting recognition, or even sharing new exciting collaboration opportunities. I was hoping that first we could have Courtney speak on this one, but how you kind of touched on this earlier, how social media has really kind of become more of a priority, and how perhaps social media has led to the fostering of, you know, brand ambassador alignments, or, you know, brand collaborations or influencer alignments down the road.
Yeah, well, one big change that we've noticed is that a lot of the pitches that we're doing them over DM now. I mean, and a lot of times there used to be traditional media and digital media, but I feel like it's all so intertwined now. You know what I mean? It's like there are so many impressive blogs or impressive outlets. Obviously Design Milk is like leading the bar on that one, or raising the bar, I should say. But it's really different now. I mean, we'll have home tours, and we'll reach out to maybe 15 or 20 blogs or outlets, people that cover content, and they're thrilled. You know, we can give them the photography, the permission to use the articles, and we find that our clients are thrilled with that. A lot of times the engagement is really much more on the micro level, whereas, you know, the ultimate is, of course, like what Michelle talked about earlier, but, you know, the full print publication and having the project featured in print. Clients are getting a little less interested in that. It seems that although, you know, we love our magazines, but nobody wants to wait a year or 6 months, or, you know, in a recent case, we waited 18 months before they can actually really show the pictures on Instagram, before they can actually benefit from, you know, getting from this. So, and I think, you know, exposure leads to collaborations. Like we always say, PR is with advertising, you say, okay, I'll give you this amount of money and you know what you're going to get in return. But with PR and marketing and social influence, you have no idea what you're going to get. I mean, you could put a message out there and it could land you a job. It could land you a deal. You could make a new friend. You know, there are so many things that can happen. So again, it's just putting yourself out there. And obviously social media has given everyone a platform now. So the whole, like I said, the traditional and non-traditional media, I think it's all becoming, it's just media at this point.
And it's being kind of attentive and sharing on those multiple different platforms, and just sharing that and having that opportunity kind of create itself too. Right. Michelle, can you speak to you know, an opportunity that perhaps arose out of your social media influence, perhaps?
You know what? I am always surprised at how much, especially with television, producers are watching our social media feeds. It's the craziest thing, the number of calls, the number of messages and offers that I've gotten solely based on my social media feed, to the point where in an audition recently, they said, oh, back in 2018 on this day, you wore this. Can you bring that with you? It's almost scary how much they know. I got a call on May 11th about a huge opportunity that I can't wait to tell everybody about. And he said, I called you because you were so vulnerable in the video that you posted on your birthday yesterday, that if I can get that guy on camera, we'll have a hit on our hands. I mean, it's amazing how just sharing yourself, just being authentic, and like I said, really using your social media as a tool to communicate who you are and what you have to offer. It's better than a headshot. It's better than a bio. You know, it's the next best thing to interfacing, and it's how we're interfacing right now. Look at what we're doing.
Totally. Jamie, anything that wasn't shared yet?
No, but I do want to add that I agree with the vulnerability thing on Instagram. I think that now that we're all kind of home, and too, that everybody can see our homes like behind us, it's like a whole new level of access to people and their lives. And I think it's breaking down the barriers of like what reality is in people's homes and in our lives, that like it's not the perfect Instagram picture, it's not the magazine spread. Those things are certainly aspirational and inspirational, but the reality is we all live messy lives, and it's nice sometimes to share that, because I think it really adds a human element, that you can connect with people on a whole new level, and people really do appreciate that.
I definitely agree. That was actually kind of further down our conversation, but I think very no, Jamie, perfectly relevant. And kind of spinning off of that, like, what do you find? Have you found that pulling away kind of that curtain and kind of showing your more personal, kind of what makes you special, standing up for your causes, kind of, you know, showing that behind the scenes, if you will, on your stories or in, you know, your own way of how you want to share it. As that, have you seen that being more impactful in kind of working with influencers, or, you know, looking into them when you're looking at a project? Do you look them up on their Instagram account and kind of get to know who that person is before you pursue further alignments?
For us, I think for Design Milk, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is a company that has a company culture that's aligned with ours is really important to us. So we are keeping tabs on every single brand that wants to advertise with us and every partner we've ever worked with, and we're watching their Instagrams. We want to see who's stepping up, who's making statements, who's making changes, who's getting involved with their community, who's trying to enact change, because those are the people we really want to work with. So, you know, if a brand comes to us and they say, you know, we really want to work with you, and we go to their Instagram feed and we're like, you know, we might not work with them. I mean, values are super important to us and increasingly important to our readers, even the younger generation of readers. We have a lot of followers that are in school, some that are even in high school, going into college and going to design school, and they really care. They want to know that you care. They want to know that all your partners care. They, you know, the whole like grab them by the wallet kind of thing is really important. They won't spend their money with you. They won't read you. They'll cancel you if you know you're not in line with their values. And it's really, really important, I think, to be out there now more than ever, sharing what's you know, what your company stands for.
Definitely. Courtney, anything to add to that you'd like to share?
Same idea. I actually had a conversation in the last few weeks, but I spoke with a brand, and after having a conversation with the person, I just realized we were not aligned. I initially was very excited about the opportunity, and this group asked for a proposal, and we ended up not moving forward. And without getting too specific, we have the same thing. You know, we have our values with our relationships. So with our industry friends, with our media friends. So when we are asking our media relationships to include our clients and to do coverage based on the people that we're working with, that becomes an extension of us. So if there's anything amiss or anything that we're sharing, you know, we can't fake it. So if somebody's doing something that's unsavory or, you know, inappropriate or, you know, any of those things, we definitely have to take that into consideration. One of the biggest things that we do initially when we start working with a new client is to really put a focus on the website, on the Instagram. I mean, all the social feeds, they need to be scrubbed. You know, some people come to us ready to go. Other people, it's like, no, we're going to have to spend the first month or so actually making sure that you are cleaned up and that the messaging is on track. So I think that's hugely important, especially now.
Oh, yes. And Michelle, being that, you know, you're obviously doing some things right and you're a huge influencer, and any advice to influencers who want to get to that level and, you know, how to put their best foot forward, and any tips that you would share?
Oh God, I feel like we've given away so much already. I feel like I told this to a new team member the other day, just asking her about who she wanted to be, and, you know, why she was in this business. And I told her that it's really important for her to figure out what she wants from the industry. What do you want from this industry? Like, and secondly, and even more importantly, what are you willing to give? You know, what are you willing to give in order to reach these goals? You know, like you calling yourself to the carpet to figure out just how committed you are and how invested you are to this road. And, you know, in discussing that and in sharing your goals, you know, it becomes a little bit bigger than you. It gets out of your head. So it doesn't seem so big anymore, because once she shared her goals with me, then there are two of us working towards that direction. You know, I'm actually there helping her. So it's not quite so overwhelming. I think that I keep saying the word, but that vulnerability kind of bleeds over into this other space too. You know, decide what you want, decide what you're willing to give, and share your goals with other people that can help you get closer there And before you know it, there's an entire design family or whatever your industry is, you know, helping you move toward the direction you're trying to get close to.
Totally, I totally agree there. All right, so in Bello, where I'm at, we are always having these conversations and saying, like you have all said in this conversation as well, that content really is key. And in telling these influencers and working with your clients, Courtney, and working on your own projects, Michelle, when you're creating this content, how do you ensure that that content is worthwhile to put out there? It's not bad content. You're creating mindful content that, you know, once again sticks to your brand, but then also is worth sharing to the world. Who would like to take the lead? Jamie?
I was just scratching my nose. I don't know. Is that question really relevant for me? I don't know.
I'll answer it. I'll answer
All
it.
right.
For me, there are like a couple of pots, right? I'm an interior designer, so I want to share some of my interiors, but I can't share too much or Design Milk may not publish it, you know? Just a little vignette, just a little something to tease. And I share the brands that I work with. I share what's inspiring me right now. That could be anything from paintings to cinema to photography, you know, other artists. That's where I find all my inspiration from. And then too, a little bit of my personal life. I recognized a little late that was important to share more of who I am. Because at the beginning, I thought I need to be super professional and not share anything about me. And that's really not the right approach. And now even, before I didn't make any political statements, but I am a Black man, I'm a creative, I live in the South, I'm gay, you know, all these things, I am a political statement. So I have to add that on my feed right now too, and decide just how much to give. I don't want to offend anybody, but I also don't want to be a shrinking violet. That's not a part of the change that I want to see. So, I mean, it's really about sharing things that I won't regret later, that I wouldn't be embarrassed to talk about at dinner conversation, or if I was in an interview that I wouldn't feel uncomfortable speaking about. Everything that I share, I own. You know, I own all those spaces. And I think that once you've, you know, kind of sent those potential posts or content through your own litmus test, you know, or your own barometer of those things, what makes sense for your brand, who you are, where you want to be, what you want to say, who you're representing, you're good.
Really? Go ahead.
I can chime in and just say that Design Milk it's a group of people, right? It's a company now. It's not me. I have my own separate personal Instagram account. So, but Design Milk has evolved over time. And so I do feel like now we're starting to put out more about what we stand for and what we care about. I think we've done that over the course of the 14 years that Design Milk's been running, but I think now we've really started to come up with a more firm company mission that everybody on the team has, you know, agreed that this is, you know, what we stand for. These are our values, and those are things that we feel important to communicate to our community, because we do have a large, you know, a big reach, a large community, and a big voice. And so even though we're a small team, we understand that we have this responsibility to put stuff out there, to enact change in our own community, even in the design community itself. But all the people who follow Design Milk, not everybody is in design, but they might just like it for the pretty photos. And so maybe that, you know, helps or touches somebody as well. So I think that's really important for us to do. And we've started doing that, and we'll continue to do that.
Awesome. Courtney, is there anything that you're seeing as being kind of the most receptive kind of content that you're, you know, what are people looking for? And Jamie, if you have anything to add, like on that note too, like what catches your eye and lights a spark when you see it?
I feel like for us, our biggest problem is that we don't have as much time to look at our own feeds, because we're working with clients and supporting their feeds. And that process, I think, is really, really fun. I mean, it's less fun sometimes because some people are, you know, but it's basically when we start working with a client, if we're supporting their social, a lot of times we're trying to tell them what their voice is because they haven't found it yet. And that takes a minute, but then people get comfortable and they kind of let us go with it. Other people come to us and they know exactly their voice, and we don't have to do anything about it. But I think, for every brand, I think it's different. I think the biggest thing that we touched on is being aware. For anybody, I don't care who you are, you just have to be aware that anything you're posting lives forever. It needs to be respectable and appropriate, and you need to be up on what's happening in the world and with everything. So I think people are receptive on a number of different levels. And I love what I guess a couple of you guys were saying before, but I do hope that during this quarantine and all of these challenges that we're facing, that people start to tone it down a little bit on the perfection behind the scenes. Like Jamie said, like, life is messy. And I do think that really getting to know people, or, getting a sense that people are struggling a little bit, really, really breaks things down. And I think is what's, hopefully what good we're going to get out of all of this that we're dealing with this year.
Totally. I agree with you. So as you've all probably been sitting, and as everyone's listening and looking at their social media feeds and scrolling and seeing these influencer alignments pop up on their feeds, and more what seems as promotions of products being integrated into their social media coverage, how has it entered your mind? How do you let these brands know that you're great to work with? How do you let them know that you want these kinds of opportunities, or that you're looking for them? So Michelle, on that note, how do you manage kind of inbound offers and requests, and what is the value in hiring someone to assist with these kinds of offers when you're vetting them?
I know Jessica is listening. I do have a publicist, but I'll be honest with you, that's really tough because even Courtney said you guys reach out via DM sometimes, and make offers or present things via DM. So I get probably as many, if not more, calls than my publicist. It's the strangest thing. People come to me directly, and sometimes I know immediately, like, I want this. Like, this is amazing. Or if I'm unsure, I will filter it through Jess and say, hey, what do you think? It's important to have that sounding board. It's important to, even if you don't have a publicist, honestly, just a trusted team member or confidant, just to figure out. And I mean, there's so much research and homework that we can do on everyone these days. It's so easy to find things out because everyone has a social presence, and anybody who doesn't, might have something to hide. I don't know, but I think that's a tough one. That's a tough one for me, just because
case by case.
Yeah, it's so case by case in a way that, I mean, I'm telling you, Jess and I have had conversations over the years so many times. Hey, Michelle, why didn't you call me about this? Or why didn't you tell me that's something else I could take off of your plate? Because, I carry a pretty full load trying to do everything myself, for being a crazy perfectionist. But anytime that I can enlist help, I realize that I should. But it's definitely a case by case basis. And getting the message out there to them, that's a really interesting one. I want to hear that answer from my other two panelists, honestly.
All right, Jamie, anything on how you can add how publicists help filter out kind of the noise, or do you have someone hits your inbox and right away this is going to be worthwhile and it's a great lead?
I mean, we get hit up pretty much everywhere. And then we obviously do our own outreach. We have a sales team as well. And we obviously partner with Embello too, which is great. So there's a lot of different opportunities like flying around. I mean, it can be walking by a trade show booth at a trade show and being like, oh, this is a great brand. Let me go introduce myself. And that could be me doing that. So there's like all kinds of different ways that we get that. But I think that it's hard to tell whether or not we want the opportunity right away if we don't really know the brand. So we like to take some time to like get to know what they're doing. We have a lot of phone calls and exploratory conversations. But yeah, I mean, they come at us all over the place, and it's kind of hard to, I would say, like, we mostly decide who is the right partner for us based on a number of different factors. It can be the company itself. It could be, you know, if it's like a lot of money, we're like, oh, let's explore this a little further, because obviously we're a business, so we need to look into things like that. You know, if it comes through referrals from other brands, or if we see a brand on another site that we really admire, sometimes we'll call them. So it's just like a lot of different things.
All right, and Courtney, last but not least, how can your team and publicists and help filter kind of what a client should be doing in order to, you know, reach that 10K following, so they can have that swipe up link on their Instagram feed and, you know, get that ROI measure? Or what are you doing to kind of help your clients right now?
Right. Well, I mean, I think that some of our clients are savvy and they have some experience, and we have, you know, adult conversations about opportunities, and then we decide sort of how to proceed. And then we have other clients that really don't understand whatsoever. They don't even really know how things are going. So it's definitely case by case. But I think that a lot of this stuff is complicated. I think, you know, we've had clients come to us with an opportunity, and then we're able to, you know, if there's a budget involved, sometimes we're able to double or triple the amount of money that initially they were offered, or we're able to actually expand on what that opportunity is. Any number of things. I mean, even important things like, you know, not giving photographers credit and then something is printed in the media. I think if someone is, you know, what we do, we always say is not brain surgery, but it's definitely, it's important when it happens, because there are a lot of people at stake and there's a lot of information that can be misconstrued. And so anyway, you know, Clara, with the editorial, and Jamie, but the back and forth process, there's quite a bit there. And if you're not experienced, there are a million things that may or may not happen that you know, you could catch yourself in some trouble. So I think that obviously PR people are very helpful. And so for busy people like Michelle and quite a few of our clients, especially when they develop a public persona, you know, we're able to not only bring in new opportunities, but also just help to manage the influx of requests and filter those. That's a priority for us.
Can I just also mention that it's incredibly important to develop relationships with people? I mean, for example, I have a great relationship with Courtney, and she typically has clients that are a good fit for Design Milk. So if, you know, you're looking for brands that are a good fit, it might be a good idea to, you know, develop more relationships with PR, marketing, agency folks, because they're going to be a good resource for sure. But I would say also that's not the only place that you can find, you know, good brands or good content. You know, it's important to also go outside of that bubble, because sometimes it can be a bubble. So you should definitely be looking outside of that as well. But relationships are super, super important.
Definitely. I think we can all agree on that one. Relationships are key, and just keeping that communication open now that digital has become really a huge factor in kind of maintaining that. And even this panel that we're having right now, how it's being, you know, capable and brought to life through all these assets that we're really kind of utilizing now more than ever. And so just wanted to now finally loop back to that juicy question Jamie kind of first started getting to with what you can do and to get your content in front of her, and what makes influencers' content worth being given a larger podium, like what makes them Design Milk worthy, for example. So I would love to have Jamie kind of kick us off and share her insight on that one.
Okay, so I did answer this question. So I'm a member of an organization called the Female Design Council, and I'm really fortunate to be a member because there's so many wonderful people who are members, and they have access to me and I have access to them. And so someone emailed me the other day and asked me this exact question. And it was something like, what do you look for Design Milk? And so I'm going to share that answer with you all. So number one, innovation. Is it something we've seen before, or is it something we haven't seen before, like a new material, a new method, a new approach, an interesting mission, or an interesting problem that gets solved through design? Number two, if it's something we've seen before or not, is there a good story? What is the story behind it? And that is huge for you, Courtney, because you're basically crafting stories for all of your clients and stuff. So that's, you know, a lot of times we get great stories through the PR and marketing folks that email us. Number 3, photos. Photographs are huge. It's our readers are really visual, and they interact with images. So in order to submit projects, we really would like to see you hire a good photographer or a good stylist. And if you don't, there's tons of tutorials on YouTube on how to do good photos. I have actually photographed my parts of one of my previous houses for Design Milk by myself. I like rented a lens and did all this stuff,
Wow.
learned how to do it. So that's really important, photographs. And then of course, like expertise. So if you're an expert in a particular area, how can we write something in an interesting way that uses you as an expert for an interview or a quote? So those are like the 4 main things that we look for. But then when we partner with influencers, we look for someone who, like I mentioned before, has like similar mission, values, aesthetic as Design Milk. That's really important to us. We love if you have a big following, but that's not that important to us. It's much more about the work that you do. If you're doing really cool quality work, then we want to share that. And that's, you know, probably the number 1 thing that we care about is like the quality.
Wonderful.
So I hope that was helpful.
Oh, that's fabulous. Michelle, did anything stick out to you there, or you know, has anything really worked well for you?
I love the innovation part. I thought number 1 was super cool. I thought, you know what, and I wonder that all the time, especially when it comes to my own content, especially when it comes to, you know, what I'll remove from the site or add to my website, which is not as big a tool anymore. Versus my social media. It's interesting how that's evolved too. You know, in the beginning, I did lots of show houses and so forth to build those relationships with editors and with the community, saying, hey, look what I can do. And I'm here to, you know, whatever. And now when I do, when I have these opportunities to do show houses or tablescapes or whatever that, you know, the extracurricular is, it's still fun because whatever I feel like is missing from my portfolio or whatever I feel like I want to explore, especially now moving into a little bit more minimal spaces, you know, I'm not gonna say I'm a minimalist yet, but just trying something different and wanting people to see me in this light too, like I'm expanding my repertoire, you know, I just check to see what's missing and that's the direction I'm going. You know, there's always a way, and it's exciting to hear that, you know, innovation is important.
Wonderful. Courtney, anything you care to add on this note?
I was just going to jump on what Jamie said about photography and presentation. I mean, we've had so many people come to us in the past, you know, 10 years ago, you could probably get away with some phone shots and maybe you show it to an editor and they might consider those scouting shots and approve a project and move forward and shoot it themselves. But that's just not happening these days. So like for designers, architects, when they come to us with professional photography, it's like a completely different ballgame for us. I mean, we've had prospective clients where actually hold your retainer for the first 2 months and go reshoot those projects. And then on top of photography, also styling. So, you know, we tell clients every once in a while, somebody will shoot something and then you look at it and you realize, oh no, you know, it looks like no one lives there or whatever. So it's like, if you have a publication or if you have a media outlet, like if you want to be, you know, if you want to be on Design Milk, spend some time, look at what they do, look how these places are styled. What do you see? And go for that. You know, if the goal is house beautiful, bring stuff, you know, make it look eclectic and bring a lot of details into the space. So I think people, a lot of times in our world, they think that we, you know, like we want this to be in house beautiful, to use that example again, but it's like, that's not a house beautiful house. Or like Jamie said with like Design Milk, I mean, it would be silly to, you know, pitch a Cape Cod to show you the details. It's just not a fit. So I think really like, you know, making sure you're presenting something that's professional and polished and worthy of the media goal that you have in mind. You know, wherever you want to see it, what you're presenting needs to look good on those pages.
Definitely.
Context.
Yeah.
Definitely. We are all in the industry of storytelling for sure. And like Jamie said, you know, really coming to terms with, you know, in utilizing your strongest podium, or, you know, if it's video, where you can really, you know, be the most authentic and share your true story and what makes you different and separate yourself. So I definitely think that's really kind of important on honing in on that. We've had some questions that people are submitting down below in the Q&A chat box. Would love to keep encouraging those to come through, and would also like to share the first one we got earlier. The question is kind of to maintaining kind of that authenticity in your social feeds. But what about brands that are clearly posting in a response to a movement rather than authentically? Does that show through? Any feedback from anyone right off the bat on that question from our audience?
I think the obvious person would be me on that one, but I feel like it's not my job, your job. It's no one's job to police someone else's feed. You know, whether it's authentic or whether it's on trend is not our problem. I mean, I try my best to see the positive in everything, and even if it's not authentic and it's bringing a little bit more awareness to even one or two people, I accept. You know, the idea of policing it and digging deeper to see if it's if they really mean it is not quite as important. Then, you know, it's really easy to find out what happens after, you know, the hashtag stops trending. You know, what kind of work is being continued in the effort toward what they were allegedly standing for. That's easy to figure out.
Wonderful. Anything else you guys would like to add to that question from our audience?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, again, especially social media, like the Black Lives Matter movement recently, I think was such a prime example for that question, because it was a place where, you know, people maybe that hadn't been doing something new, they needed to do more. They weren't sure what they could do, but it really came together as, you know, like, these are the things you can do, like do more, you know, and don't just say you're going to do more, but actually do more. So I feel like that was amazing. I think the downside is that a lot of people were really attacked for that, maybe weren't even doing something wrong in the first place. I mean, I think there were plenty of people doing bad things, but then there were other people maybe that, you know, if the hashtag was wrong in the beginning, I think people can get sort of mean on social media. So anyway, I feel like that was such an interesting and an incredible experience for all of us through social media, of how we really have to pay attention to exactly what we're doing and make sure that we're, you know, we're being part of the solution. And if you're not, they're going to take you down. That's what we all saw, and I think we'll continue to see. I think it's a different landscape now.
Jamie, we had someone comment that you're a very talented artist and you're donating money to various charitable organizations. Spinning off that, if you could share a little bit more on that, how important is it for, you know, all of us and influencers in general to have strong involvements with these meaningful movements and be very real and actually follow through with it, like Courtney mentioned?
Yeah, so Design Milk for a long time has been making donations to various organizations. I think a couple years ago, we were working toward corporate donations for a lot of the border issues. This year, I've matched our employee donations. I personally match them. It's not a corporate thing. We couldn't give any money this year, so we're doing 1% of our shop sales are going to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. But I personally match my employees' donations and gave myself. And I'm also have some artwork through the end of this month on Saatchi, I think it's saatchiart.com. I'm giving 75% of the profits to charity. So I've definitely been doing that as an artist for a long time. And I think it's really important to constantly be giving back. So if there's a way that you can do that as an influencer, or your brand can do that as an organization on a regular basis, instead of just stepping up and dumping some money when someone points out that you should be donating on your social media, you know, like yelling at you for not donating. I think it's better to just constantly be donating all the time to causes that are important to you or your industry. Yes.
Wonderful.
Do it.
while you're still kind of on that thread, we had one person want to have you share a bit more about that Female Design Council that you mentioned.
Oh yeah, it's femaledesignCouncil.org. I think it's been around for a couple of years now, and it's for female and female identifying persons. And it's an organization that helps bring conversation and community together for those of us in the design community, from media, product design, like any kind of designer. So it's femaledesignCouncil.org.
Wonderful, thank you for that. And quickly, Michelle, where are you? Everyone's oohing and awing about your backdrop.
I'm in my living room. I'm in my living room. Actually.
And you're in Atlanta right now?
Yes, I'm in Atlanta.
Right. Well, it's gorgeous. I must agree with that comment. Another question just came through. Could you lend any insight for folks looking to get started in content creation, media creation, and media management as a career? Who wants to take the lead on that one?
What was the question? Media and what?
Design Milk job boards.
Any insight for anyone who's looking to get started kind of creating content or media content, and then even pursuing media management as a job, perhaps?
Oh boy. I mean, I always say just start. I mean, there's no right way of doing anything anymore. It used to be like, oh, well, here's your path. You have to go to college and you have to take this major and pass this test and blah, blah, blah. But now it's kind of like you pick up your phone and you open an account and you just start sharing your life. That's how I started. I did Design Milk was a side hustle. So that it became my job because I was really passionate about it. So I think that as long as you're really excited and passionate about something and you're sharing it with people, that's enough to get started for sure. As far as like making it into a career, I think it's more about starting out maybe somewhere, getting a mentor or connecting with other media professionals on, any kind of, whether it's a LinkedIn group or another organization or something like that. I think that's probably a really good start too.
The only other thing I would add to that is to, look into the industry and see what's missing, what's missing from the industry, like find a niche and make it happen, become known for something. You become an expert at one thing, people will trust you to do everything else.
Yeah, I would say too, another thing is social media has made everyone accessible. So if there's someone out there that's doing what you want to do, introduce yourself to that person, send them a DM and say, hey, I'm an aspiring person, what can I do? And network. LinkedIn is an incredible tool for that. I mean, every time I log into LinkedIn, I'm like, there's so much happening. So I think the opportunities are there. Everyone's available to us now. I think you just can't be afraid to reach out.
I feel like this current landscape we're all in, everyone's become, yes, more accessible, even the greatest of the greats. I mean, yeah. I would definitely recommend just, totally reaching out and DMing, or they're the best workout trainers are doing IG live workout sessions. I mean, everything is accessible now. So just kind of taking advantage of it for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead, and anyone else, if you have a cue, submit it. We'll kind of wrap things up. I have a fun little rapid fire one-word winner question round for you guys to kind of round out the conversation, and kind of almost Friday, so get excited for the weekend. Ending on a high note. So in one word or a few, we won't be too judgmental, is there a favorite Instagram handle that you three would care to share that we should be following, inspirational?
Legacy Brothers is one of my favorite. Incredible artwork by a Black artist, and just things I didn't even know, there's nothing better than scrolling through Instagram and being inspired by something and having then the right criteria to find the artist and see who's inspiring them, and it becomes a rabbit hole, but I swear to you, I cannot wait to begin all the projects that I have slated, because I'm so full of freaking inspiration from being locked up in this house for the last few months, but I've got my saved file on Instagram is massive right now. And a whole lot of it is Legacy Brothers.
Awesome. What about you two?
This is not, did you prepare for this, Michelle? Because that is so not fair that you like had one right away and you look new.
Well, there's so many, but that one, like, I love the page so much that I've become friends with him. Like, seriously, it's, you got something.
I have two that have been saving my sanity. My husband and I, the onion and the fat Jewish. I mean, not design related, but I mean, those two feeds are seriously the best. Like when everything was so dark a couple months back, I mean, those, I laughed so hard. Wait, and another one I love through all of this too is called the Good News Movement.
Yes, I was going to say that one.
That one is just
That's
incredible.
a good one.
So I've been seeking the lighter side of things.
Yeah, I can always go for a good dog meme too. Just they can. There was one tubing the other day, and the owner fell out of the tube, and it stayed on.
You guys put me on the spot. I don't have anything right now.
Say Design Milk. No.
Yes,
Design Milk. That's always a good one.
You guys have like 3.5 million followers or something crazy.
4.
I was close. All right.
Anyway.
What about your latest design purchase? What have you gotten over this pandemic that you've ordered and it's in your life now? You love it.
Okay, I don't know if it's design. I'm redesigning myself because I've eaten everything that wasn't nailed down, even some of those things actually. I just bought a Peloton and I can't wait for it to arrive because I need it. It's going to be my new quarantine workout until further notice. And design purchase, there is this magenta, fuchsia, hot pink, I don't care what you call it, triple sole Balenciaga sneaker that I am dying to freaking have. And I look at it every morning to decide if I need it. You know, another sneaker with a comma in the price tag. But it's inspiration for sure. I mean, I'm obsessed with this sneaker.
I hate to rock it.
We also got a Peloton right when we ordered it like right when the lockdown started, and it took like forever to get here, but my husband does it like 5 or 6 days a week and he's obsessed with it.
I love that.
Yeah, I think you're gonna like it.
Good.
Courtney,
I don't think I've bought anything, to be honest, except grocery delivery and a lot of toilet paper.
We actually upgraded our kitchen appliances right before COVID. Had we known this was all happening, we may not have done it. So I'm glad we got it done. But so I got a La Cornue range, which is like a bucket list thing that we saved for our whole life to have. Yes. So that is my, hopefully the biggest design purchase of our life. But we're burning everything. So powerful. Like torching everything that we cook now.
I love it. Next question, favorite new app? You guys been using any new apps to make the new life that we're all in better?
Let me look. Yes, Instacart for grocery delivery.
New best friend.
Yeah, I think I have.
Oh gosh, I cannot remember the name of the one I want to tell you. It's so good.
Someone just told me about Drizzly, and I've already used it 3 times. You can send alcohol.
What is it?
You send alcohol to people, but it basically tap into regions. So like I just sent something to someone in Austin. You can send it in New York. Kind of good. Drizzly.
Drizzly. That's helpful.
I've been downloading all the photo editing apps, like all the like really weird, like,
There's so many.
like vaporwave photo editor. I don't know, 1998 camera, like just all kinds of like really weird retro.
I don't know that one.
Just because I've been taking so many photos, because I've been like only living my life on Instagram. So I've been looking for like really weird things that I can put in my stories and stuff.
I am racking my brain, guys. It will not come to me as soon as we hang up, it will. But it was suggested to me by a friend who, you know, I was just having some issue in the morning. Sometimes I'll listen to like my favorite pastor for 30 minutes. He does like these short excerpts. But this guy, it's like 90 seconds. And he is taking the best advice from the best blogs all over the world with permission. And he reads them to you. He narrates them and kind of breaks it down. And it's the coolest thing to just listen to when you're brushing your teeth. And if I could tell you the name of it, I would, but I'll put it on my Instagram or something in my story.
Right. Yeah, the IOU in there.
Yeah.
Are you guys currently binge watching or really enjoyed binge watching a show that over this quarantine? Jamie, go. I see you.
Okay. So you guys can chat in the box, but I don't know if anybody is watching or was watching 90 Day Fiance, but we were obsessed with it over the quarantine. It's over now. I think they have a new one like abroad or something, but the one that just happened was like next level bananas. So good. What about you guys?
I think my favorite thing that I watch, I'm like, I don't know what's up with me with like murder mysteries, but anything Sherlock Holmes, anything Agatha Christie, all that stuff I've done. But I was obsessed with Hollywood. Ryan Murphy killed that thing. It was amazing.
Oh,
that was so good.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
You've got to watch it. It's time well spent.
Oh. Courtney, what about you?
I'm on a British crime roll as well.
Really good.
So we just watched Broadchurch. There are 3 seasons.
Yes.
I watched that too. Yeah.
And then now we're watching something called Dead Water Fell or something like that, but it's the same actor from Broadchurch and it's only 4 episodes, but it's insane. So it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm on a roll.
lot of good
Dead
shows.
You know what else I watch? It's dark, but it's very interesting, and it's on network TV. It's Prodigal Son. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
It's really good too. It's dark, but it's so
I only watch trash TV. You guys are too smart for me.
I was gonna say, I've never heard of network TV. I don't know what you're talking about.
If none of you guys have seen it, it's called Selling Sunset, and it's on Netflix.
That's trash. That's awesome.
It's new.
Amazing. It's amazing. I wish I could rewatch it.
It's Selling, S-E-L-L.
Selling Sunset. It's like Real House, like beautiful real estate agents selling multi-million.
Oh, is it like $1 Million Listing?
It's like that, but Real Housewives drama.
I just watched $1 Million Listing the other day. I think it was a repeat, and they were selling this crazy architectural house in La Jolla, which is like right down the street from me. And apparently Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys bought it, and they live there. And I was like, oh my God, they live like 15 minutes from me. I'm like, I'm gonna go creep.
Oh my God,
They probably are fans of the magazine, actually.
I have no idea. We had Swizz Beatz on a Friday 5 one time, so he's really into design.
They're art collectors. They're always at Basel. Yeah, they probably follow.
Oh my
Make
God.
them a pie and bring it over, Jamie.
You're a neighbor. Yeah, like new neighbor besties. You gotta do it. Okay, continuing on. What about a brand or business to follow? Talk about, a really great movement that's going on where you've been impressed by some brand or been acquainted to a new. Anyone you want to share?
I can share. So this is not a shameless plug, but I'm in this documentary that's on Hulu, and it's called Design for All. And I had no idea who else was going to be in the documentary, but I just watched it last week. And there's this organization called Open Style Lab in New York, and they work with disabled people to make clothes and accessories along with them. Like they all co-design together. It's really cool. And if anybody has Hulu, they should definitely watch the documentary because it's really great. It highlights a lot of different people. But it's about design and accessibility. And I think it's a really great organization.
Cool. I have followed so many recently, but I cannot think of any because I'm not that smart right now. But I'll just say my friends, all my friends are like brand people. Stephen Webster Beauty, amazing hair products, especially for blondes. And my friend Lawrence Washington just put out a new single. His music is amazing. So yeah, there you go.
Perfect. Courtney, you got anything?
I'm like totally drawing a blank, but I will say I was digging so many of the Black designers and Black artists. We've been doing a ton of coverage on them, and I can't tell you how inspiring. I think the photographer's name is Gregory Prescott, but I bought a photo of a beautiful woman in her profile, and she has a gigantic magnolia that's tucked behind her ear.
I've seen that.
It's a stunning photo, and I just bought it. So excited.
Oh,
very good.
I second you on that, Courtney. I can't name any off the top of my head, but I've been acquainted to so many new artists and designers over the past few weeks, and I'm very thankful. And
you guys, there's good that's going to come from this. I promise. There's going to be a lot of good that comes from this. Even you saying like you're becoming aware of talent that you would have not known of before. I mean, that's good. It's going to be good.
Definitely think the design industry as a whole has done I've been very proud just to be a part of our community. I think everyone's been doing a wonderful job and stepping up. And I think, yes, like you said, Michelle, we're all going to grow and we're going to make more acquaintances and friends and, you know, just spread more love out of it. So it'll be great. What about a go-to quarantine coping mechanism? Long baths at night, like walks. I've been like going on walks way more, just like during the day, just trying to like move. I realize I'm not really getting a lot of steps in just in my house.
Yeah, the walks are really helpful, just getting the sunshine and the fresh air. And I've been eating a lot of Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts?
Comfort foods.
Pop-Tarts and 90 Day Fiance. That's me.
I've been cooking like a crazy person, and I have all these photographs and all this video of meals that I prepared for myself, but I haven't posted any. I just don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to integrate it into my feed, so I don't know what to do with it. But yeah, I've been cooking.
Awesome.
Well, people love that. I think
I
same as Michelle, we've been doing a lot of cooking. I think in the first month of quarantine or so, it felt like there were no rules and you could eat and drink as much as you wanted. And now all of a sudden we're like, okay, this is not going away. Like we have to stop. But it's been fun. And I have a daughter who has started to cook. And so she's like this whole past week, she's made dinner every night. And it's like the greatest thing ever.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Borrow her.
I'm gonna get used to that.
Mail her to Iowa. What about, you know, like a takeout food of choice, you know, since we are all cooking more from home, you know, when you do go pick up or, you know, go to help some mom and pop, you know, shops that are open, what are you picking up and taking home right now? Craving.
Postmates is my really good friend, and it's okay if you guys use it sometimes, but just ask me first. I have made it my mission to try every single pizza parlor in my surrounding area. I mean, I'm almost through and I'm repeating, but I've probably consumed more pizza than any Italian family in their entire lives, for sure.
I can totally second that. We've been, now that we're seeing friends at a distance, we have people over and we basically order a pizza per family or whatever so that everybody can, so we've been ordering a ton of pizza as well.
Yeah.
We finally ordered sushi last week, even though we were kind of looking at it, wondering if we should like blowtorch it first or something. We just went for it.
You're still here.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Are you guys a dog or cat person? For those who don't know, you?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Dog.
Dogs. Dogs rule. And then last but not least, salt or sweets?
That's not fair. I'm a salty sweet person. I'm a salted caramel. I'm a, you know, cheddar popcorn with the caramel popcorn. I need both.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm that guy at the same time.
We'll let you pass this one.
I go for salt.
Salt.
I go for salt, but I like the dark chocolate with the sea salt thing that Michelle was going for.
I like a balance.
I'm not picky.
Awesome. Well, that's all I have. You guys have anything else you'd like to share or say to our live audience before we say goodbye?
I'm just going to say it was a pleasure to be here, guys. I mean, like I said, I have great respect for everybody that I have not had an opportunity to chat with today. So I'm just really happy to have been here. And I've been doing lots of lives. So the Zoom platform is kind of cool. It's different. I get to see everybody at the same time.
We weren't really sure when we were live and when we weren't, but everyone bear with us.
I'll fix that.
Everybody saw me adjusting my light and fidgeting, so, but whatever.
Well, thank you guys too. This was also fun,
Thank you.
and hope everyone stays safe and has a great weekend coming up.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.